Oh my God, how does this bill get to be so big? It's a bill from UPS, but it could be from any carrier. It could be from FedEx, could be the USPS, could be a regional carrier. Generally, the biggest factor that affects your bill is forgetting to or inaccurate measuring of your package. Oversize or OS refers to ground shipping. Dimensional or dim charges affect air shipments, and they usually show up on your bill in the form of what's called an accessorial bill. This code says R, and it shows dim weight charges applied. Each carrier has their own way of doing this, but an accessorial bill is just a bill that shows up on your doorstep later, and appropriately titled accessorial because that's generally where you're taking it. What happens with the accessorial bills is if you've already billed your customer upfront for shipping and you forget to dimension a package, or you dimension it improperly, and the package is then audited moving through a small package carrier system, they then send you an additional charge or an additional bill that you have to pay even though you haven't been able to collect it from your customer, or may not be able to collect it back from your customer at a later date. Now, what goes into oversized OS or dimensional / dim charges with air? An explanation of the formula that goes into it is very simply the length of the box times the width of the box times the height of the box divided by a factor, and the factor is different for ground and air. The factor for ground is 166, the factor for air is 139, and these are just standards for UPS, but your carrier could give you a different divisor, if you will. Now, a good example of something like this is, for instance, if I have a box that's 20 inches by 24 inches by 24 inches, and it weighs 20 pounds. If I plug the information into the formula, 20 inches times 24 inches times 24 inches, and I divide that by 166, I get 70 pounds. Now for ground, because the divisor is 166, for ground that means you should have paid for 70 pounds worth of product even though you only charged yourself 20 pounds for shipping. If it's an air package, for instance, and you take 20 by 24 by 24 and you divide that by 139, you get 83 pounds, which means that that box of that size, you should have paid for 83 pounds worth of weight even though the box only weighed 20 pounds. Why do the carriers do this? They're not just out to get you. That's not the reason behind it. The reason behind it, and believe me, I'm no fan of the carriers making an extraordinary amount of money either, but the reason why they're doing it is because they need to recover a certain amount of revenue per truck that goes down the road to stay in business so that they can keep moving your packages. If they pick up a ton of boxes that are full of feathers, obviously the weight isn't going to pay for the amount of shipping that goes down the road. So they've come up with their formulas to decide exactly how much money they need to move that product effectively and to stay in business. So that's how and why they do it. Why is it important to you or me? It's important to you or me to do it properly because it means money. If you're billing your customers up front and you can't bill them back later if you make a mistake, then it's important to do it right the first time. So again, my initial example was a 20 by 24 by 24 box moving through the system. We actually dimensioned that package moving from our zip code in the Midwest here, 55110, to zip code 98626 in Washington. Now, the ground charge for 20 pounds under our contract is $25.05. The oversized charge using that formula for 70, turning that box into a 70-pound box, if you will, is $52.87. That means that if I charged my customers $25.05, I've now lost $27.82 in the shipping charge alone. If that package was moving air from our place to the customer's place at the other end, a next day air package that's 20 pounds would cost $158.81. The next day air dim charge, when that package dimmed out to 83 pounds, which just means we should have paid 83 pounds worth of freight for that large box that didn't weigh much, would have been $382.37. That means if we billed our customer the $158.81 up front, we would have lost $223.56. In both of these examples, when you have a large box that doesn't weigh a lot, your effective shipping rate doubles. That makes shipping extremely expensive for you. So you want to make sure that if you're billing your customers up front, that this stuff is done right before it leaves the building. And there's several ways of doing it. You can measure packages by hand, which we'll show you in a second, or use equipment, which we'll show you right after that. But either way can be effective. You just want to make sure that you're doing it when you're moving your packages through their system. All right, let's ship the package. To appropriately dimension a package when you're shipping it through the system or through a system, FedEx, UPS, or any other regional small package carrier, or the USPS, what you want to do is capture your dimensions properly. You do that with a handy-dandy tape measure and a scale for the weight. Just any kind of a scale works great. You start by measuring your sides. The length is 24 by 21 by 17. The small package carrier software will put those dimensions in the proper order when you're typing them into the system. And then you want to weigh your package. This package is 18 pounds, rounded up. It's important to remember to always round up your dimensions. It's also important to round up your weight. And a lot of people will say don't do that, but if somebody who's auditing it, going through the system, does it that way and you don't do it that way, you're paying more money. So it's always important to make sure that you're rounding up your dimensions and rounding up your weight. As you can see, using a tape measure, measuring a side, and then measuring another side, and then the third side, typing that into a system is not a big deal if you're only doing 20 packages, 20, maybe 30 packages a day. If it gets above that, it starts to become time consuming, for one. Accuracy also can tend to suffer. As soon as you start doing higher volumes, you may mistype things, or you may get in a hurry and not measure it and round it up. You may, forget to do it. There's a host of reasons that go into that, but accuracy is important, and as you get up in higher package volumes, this process of doing it manually and then typing it into your system may get to be time consuming and costly. So I'd like to show you the faster way of doing this. This is how we like to measure and weigh our packages. It's already done. Now you might think that was all just for show, but it really wasn't. This solution is a scale, 18 pounds, and a dimensioning device, which then can dimension your package while weighing it without you ever having to do anything other than setting it on the scale. And the interesting thing about this is this solution can be tied to your shipping software. Doesn't matter what software it is. It's user-friendly, able for you to set it up in your shipping department, very quick to set up. A couple of bolts and you're ready to go. You connect it to your shipping software, and most shipping softwares that can connect to scales can connect to this piece of hardware, and this will greatly help your accuracy